Hello, I'm Mortgage Mike, and welcome to your weekly mortgage industry update. Today's topic is a continuation of last week's topic of appraisals, where we'll focus on property evaluations, or AVMs. Now, you might be asking yourself, Mortgage Mike, what is an AVM? Well, an AVM stands for an automated valuation model. And what it is, it's an electronic tool or electronic check on a appraisal's quality, so to speak. Now, how do they work? Well, what happens with AVMs is they go out to public databases like tax assessors, county records, potentially comparable sales data to generate a low-end, a high-end price value, and then what they think the estimated market price of that property should be. Now, in theory, that sounds all great, but I'll show you why it's not all that great. Now, the first thing is that we got to ask, well, why do we use them? Well, we use them because Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have automated underwriting engines, and every loan that we do has to go through one of the engines, and part of that engine's job is to do an AVM. So sometimes when we have issues with property appraisals, sometimes those come in because of AVM issues. Maybe you've had some of those out there. Now, the great thing about an AVM is that it's quick, it's cheap, and there's really no undue influence in regards to looking at value. But in the state of Texas, we have a really big problem with AVMs, and that is Texas is a non-disclosure state. What does that mean? Well, that means that when we file the deed of trust in the state of Texas, we're not filing what the sales price of the property is. We're only filing what the loan amount is. There is no resource out there that's publicly available that can actually tell us what the sales price of the property is. Now, you can imagine that that creates a pretty big problem with AVMs, right? And let me show you what that might be. So here's an AVM right there. Let me see if I can pull it up. See that starred and circled area? I can't tell if you can read that or not, but it says sales data and price. And look at that. Oh my goodness, there's no information in there. So, do you think that this AVM has any value or any worth in a transaction? Absolutely not. The problem we have is that our investors, who happen to not live in the state of Texas, nor really understand how the state of Texas works, assume that we function much like California, Florida, New York, or the parts of the country where we actually disclose sales data, and we don't. So, AVMs are not a great thing in the state of Texas, and if you ever have any issues with them, here's what you can do about it. First thing that I would do is I would remind your lender that Texas is a non-disclosure state. We cannot find sales data is not provided on a public basis, so an AVM really has no merit in the state of Texas. Secondly, I would ask your client to ask for a copy of that AVM, so at least you can look at it and see what comparables are being used. Thirdly, what I would say is go out and get your own comps to try to back up the property value that you've agreed upon, or the sales price you've agreed upon. And then lastly, what I would say is you probably need to get a second appraisal. We do that in our office if we have an AVM issue. In fact, none of our agents or clients even really know about it, other than the fact that we have to order a second appraisal. I don't pass the cost on to our clients. We absorb it because we think it's just an investment in making sure we make a good loan, and one, we're playing by the rules of the game that we've been given. We don't like it, but hey, you know, that's where you have to play sometimes. So the next time you hear about an AVM messing up your potential transaction, remember that there are certain things that you can do to hopefully help alleviate that issue and get you beyond it. So I am Mortgage Mike signing off. I'll see you next week, and I'm here to say AVM WTF.